Today, we're talking about something a lot of parents experience but don't always know how to talk about it. That moment when your child says something unusual, something perceptive, or something that scares you a little. Not because it's dramatic, but because you suddenly realize you don't know what to do with it. This episode is about what actually helps kids in those moments and how parents can stay calm and steady even when they feel unsure. Welcome to More Than We See. There's a moment parents don't talk about very often. It's when your child says something casually, quietly, sometimes right before bed, and your body reacts. Your stomach drops, your chest tightens, and you think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this? Welcome to the episode of More Than We See. So today we're talking about intuitive kids, which means we're talking about every kid. But we're not talking about it dramatically, and we're not labeling kids. We're not doing any of that. We're talking about this in a grounded and human way. We're talking about what actually helps kids when they notice more, and what can unintentionally make things harder for them. Most of the time, parents are so over-responsible for everything, and we are. But in this situation, you don't need to have the answers, and you don't need to decide what something means. And you don't need to respond in a perfect way. If your child has ever said something that surprised you or unsettled you or scared you a little bit, that's really normal. It's very human. And your response is just because you care. So this conversation is about helping you stay steady, to help the situation stay steady, because your steadiness matters more than your explanation or really anything else in that moment. So here's what often happens, and this is in my experiences with my own children and others. A child might say something like, I feel like somebody's watching me, or I know things before that happens. And that can be scary. Or my favorite, and my kids use this a lot, something's in my room, I see something in my room. Or maybe even something like, I feel this place feels really weird to me. And immediately the adult nervous system kicks in. You might feel that pressure to explain the situation, to reassure them quickly, or to spiritualize it in your own religion, or maybe even shut it down. Or you might panic internally while trying to stay calm on the outside. Both of my children have seen things, and of course I jumped into protector mode in multiple ways. Show my strength so they could feel my calm and feel cared for, but the more I worked through all of my experiences together with them, I realized that my reaction was the moment that I could control, and that moment right there is actually the most important moment. Not because of what they're experiencing or what they've said to me, but because of how I respond, how the adult responds to the situation. I worked through a lot of experiences, and there are absolutes to this, or at least absolutes that I believe to be true. Kids don't need answers. They don't need interpretation, at least not immediate, maybe as they go. And they really don't need their experience to be turned into their identity. What they need most is safety. They often need to know that the adult isn't afraid. And they need to know that they're not in trouble and that nothing urgent is happening in their life. They just need to know that their world is safe and that it's stable. Because when a child notices something new, especially something that's sensory or emotional, they're often watching the adult's face to decide just how big it is. Your response teaches them what to do with their own experience. And most escalations that we bring up happen unintentionally. But that happens because maybe we're asking too many questions, or when we jump to a meaning of things, or we label the child as psychic or special or gifted, or when we react with visible fear, which is hard to sometimes overcome, or when you treat the moment as special or dangerous. Even curiosity can escalate a moment if it feels urgent. And the goal really isn't to shut the experience down, it's just simply not to inflate it. Kids learn what to pay attention to based on what we amplify as adults, what we say is important. So before we talk about maybe what to say to your child in those moments, there's something just as important to talk about. And that's what's happening inside of you. Because when something comes out of your child's mouth that's unusual and your nervous system starts to react, your brain's going to start scanning. You're scanning the room, your body tightens, you're trying to figure it all out, and your mind starts looking for those explanations. And you try to soothe your child immediately, and all of that's very normal. But there are just a few simple things that you can try that'll help you stay steady in that moment. First, slow your breathing. Take one slow breath in through your nose and let that exhale be a little bit longer than the inhale. What you do by doing that is tell your body that we're not in danger. So do that a couple of times. And then second, soften your body. Like drop your shoulders and relax your face. This is amazing for your child because children read our expressions way faster than they hear our words. If your body relaxes, their body is often going to follow. And third, give yourself permission not to solve everything immediately. You don't need to interpret what they've said. You don't need to explain it right away. You don't need to plug it into your religion. You just need to stay present. Because children don't need certainty. They need to see that whatever is happening is absolutely manageable. That's the lesson that lasts. And that's across everything that happens with your children's. So let's move to try this. For this episode, here's a simple way to respond that keeps things grounded. So when something comes up like this, you can say something like, "Thank you for sharing that with me," or "Thank you for telling me that," or "That sounds super interesting." An even better one might even be to ask them, "Hey, how does this feel for you? How does it feel in your body?" That question gives them permission to notice themselves kind of in an observer's role, an observer's perspective. And it's a really good, important skill for their life, being able to step back and notice what they're experiencing. Not disconnecting from it, but observing it, helping people stay grounded in their own awareness, understanding what's going on in their body. Another perfectly good response is simply, "Okay, I'm here," or "We're safe." No urgency, no meaning making, no story, just absolute presence in the moment. You're not dismissing them. You're not diminishing the experience. You're anchoring them. So this conversation isn't about developing a gift. It's not about shutting something down either. And it's not about figuring anything out. It's about protecting your child's nervous system and protecting their sense of normalcy in this world, because intuition is normal. Kids can notice more and still feel safe, but that safety starts with the adult. So if your kid has ever scared you a little with something they've said or something they've done, you're not alone. And staying calm doesn't mean you're ignoring them or ignoring their intuition. It means you're teaching them that their world is still okay, and that whatever they notice, they don't have to carry it alone because you're there with them. I will see you next time on More Than We See.